Beep beep. What is up, ninjas? My name is Semworld, and like always, I'm here to take care of you and give you guys knowledge that you can use in your tracks. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to manipulate vocals from vocal chopping them to make them sound kind of anime or high pitched, so you can pick up those girls at anime con, as well as making your voice deeper. So put down that testosterone shock, because I'm gonna get you to sound like this from this little mother. And if you didn't get my joke, I'm in a deeper voice. Now, I went through a lot of music, guys, to see what kind of vocal tricks were being used, and it's almost always the standard stuff. However, I know some of you guys out there won't be able to do them because you don't know how to achieve that sound. So I got you today, because that's what today's video is all about. So if you're ready to piss off the next vocalist you work with because she won't be able to recognize her voice, let's get straight into this video, my dudes. Guys, the first trick I'm gonna teach you is a very simple one, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know how to do it, but the question is, do you know how to do it properly? Because I've heard a lot of tracks from you guys where I'm just like, fuck. So we're gonna be using Ableton Sampler, and if you don't have Ableton Sampler, we can go with the little alter boy for this little trick that we're gonna do. They're both gonna do around the same thing, but they're both gonna allow you to go really deep, balls deep with the voice, so that it sounds deep, but then you can use the little format knob to get it to sound a little bit more pleasing, which is the main part of this little tip that I want you guys to see. Alright fam, so here we are, and let's get straight into this. So we're gonna use Ableton's built-in feature first, then we're gonna use a little alter boy, and they're all gonna sound different, okay? That's the key thing here. You're gonna notice there's gonna be some different vibes coming from each one. So the first way we can down pitch this is just to lower the transposition, which in essence is gonna time stretch the vocals so that we get something that sounds down pitched. So the speed of the vocal, if we increase the speed of it, it's going to sound higher pitch. If we decrease the speed, it sounds lower pitch. Frequency equals whatever you learned it in physics. I'll put it up, but I used to know it, so I was kind of smart back then. So right here, we need to warp it so that that doesn't happen. Next thing is you're going to be in beats mode, and when we lower that to -12, which is what we want, so that we can get the down pitch and still maintain the same key of A minor or A major, this is what it's going to sound like. So you can see it doesn't sound all that great. It sounds a bit weird. So in order to bypass that, we go into Complex Pro, which most of you guys know already. Now, by default, it will be at 100% formants. And if you hear that, it's trying to maintain the original vocal. And honestly, maybe some of you guys can explain what formants and envelopes does. I used to have a box that will pop out of Ableton. Oh, there it is. Which tells you the definition of formants and the envelope. But to me, the way it sounded like, that's what's important to me, how it sounds like, what is it changing in the sound, is that it's trying to maintain the original vocal, and the lower we go, the more of the low vocal we get. So you can fine tune between that to find a pleasing spot for this down pitch vocal. I think I am falling in love with you. Now you can see the envelope down here. Ableton tells us that higher values are better when it's super low. I think I am. And lower values is better when it's high formant. I think I am falling in love. But we can play with it to get different formalities, and that's how we go about it to make it to sound pleasing. I think I am falling in love. Now the other way to do this, and let's get rid of this now, I think, is to use the little alter boy, and this is a plugin from Sound Toys, which it has its own vibe for sure, man. You know, it has its own flavor. Gives me a little bit of that Todd Helder vibe if you guys have heard his music, but I'll save that for another tip we have in this tutorial that we're doing right now. But pretty much here, all we need to do is make sure the mix is fully wet, 100%, lower the pitch. I think I'm falling in love. Lower the formant. And that's it. But if we have high formants, we have more of a sawish kind of vibe, more of a vocoding vibe. I think, like a saw is being routed through it. I think I am falling in love with you. So very similar to the Ableton one, but that's about as simple as this technique can get. Now, the other things you could do is you could just, you know, have more of the -7 there, which again, it's a harmonic note to the original A. I think so that might work as well if you're trying to manipulate it in a way. If you go to -7 or +7, you can also get this to sound cool. Now we can also transpose this up so we get the cartoon vibes. I think I am falling in love with you. So we can get all the anime girls. And you can get some really cool vocals like that. So have fun with this, guys, but let's move on to the next tip.
Tip number 2, guys, is gonna be for those of you guys making very spacey music that want vocals to reflect that, to be part of that theme. Like, you just gotta probe up, yo. So we're gonna be using Little Alter Boy for this again, but keep in mind you can do this in the vocoder in Ableton if you're on a budget, or you can also do this in Vocal Synth 2 if you have it, so you don't need to buy Little Alter Boy. But Little Alter Boy is amazing for this, but this kind of gives me those Todd Hilder vibes from some of his music. So check this one out and let me know what you guys think about it.
Alright guys, so again, we're just gonna use the Little Alter Boy for this little trick that we're gonna do, and in all honesty, the vocal will play a big role in how it's gonna affect. But we can go something with like -12 and then a high format.
I think I am falling in love with you.
It will give you that vibe. You can also add robotics to it, but you gotta be careful because there is no emotion from a robot.
I think I am falling in love with you.
As you can see, so that's the key thing about.
I think I am falling in love with you.
Use it with a high format, and then you can kind of get two sounds together so that it gives a good vibe. You can also use, you know, transposition.
I think I am falling in love with you.
And that will give you those really cool kind of vibes. And it's a simple thing there. The other thing too is going to be the Isotopes Vocal Synth 2, like I explained, which again, it's $10 a month on Splice, which is amazing. I got it through them, and I really enjoy it because we're going to have access to 4 different types of vocoders. They're each going to be a bit different in the way they work, but they're all vocoders in the end. We're routing a saw, we're routing a square, a sound through it.
I think I am falling in love with you.
So you can go to a square. And this is a great way to just get it to sound good. You can even pitch it up to +12 instead. Add polyvox if you want to mix in the original.
I think I am falling in love with you. I think I am falling in love with you.
And you can do a lot with it, and it's something that I recommend you guys get into. And if you like me to make a full tutorial on Vocal Synth, on how to use it, aka what everything does, let me know in the comments down below. And if I get enough comments about it, I'll probably make it for you guys so that you guys can understand this beast of a vocal manipulator, I'll call it that. But that's how we go about it, guys. This is one way that you can apply these kind of things into your vocal. It also has some cool presets if you want to go with those as well.
I think I am falling in love with you.
There's very detuned vibe to it, but those are ways to go about it, guys, and those are vocal tricks, vocal manipulations you can do to your vocal right now, to your tracks right now, which are very simple, as you saw.
Tip number 3 is the most generic out of all of these tips, and that is going to be to chop up the vocals. Now, I've been teaching you guys to chop up vocals on this channel for quite some time now, so we're going to do this a little bit differently for today, and I'm going to go show you guys some tricks and tips that you can do. Now, for this part, we're going to use the Ableton Simpler, which is just going to get the vocal, it's going to slice it up into nice little chunks of meat, and then you're going to press your keys to start at different points. The problem with this is that you can't manipulate the vocals so they switch pitch. So this is where Vocal Synth 2 or Little Alter Boy will come in handy to give you more of a real vocal chop feel, per se.
So we're back here again, guys, and we're just gonna upload Simpler here, put it up from Ableton, and this one is super cool. Like, so pretty much we're gonna drop in our vocal. All right, we're gonna go into slice mode. And this is going to allow me to just play MIDI notes. Let's say you have a MIDI keyboard in front of you and move around between them. Now, what we're going to do is very simple. We're going to try and make something, and I can't promise it's going to be good because I'm actually in a hurry. I have this thing I need to do right now. So I'm trying to get this video done. But pretty much, we're going to go here. Just put so from here, you just want to find notes that you really like. And you can kind of go between this. And the cool thing about the Simpler is that it's going to gate it off the moment you So this is going to allow us to do that. Now the trick here is that I can transpose via the Simpler here, going into control, so that I get more of a cartoon vibe. And that starts to sound more like actual legit vocal chops. Now, the other thing, too, is that you can also put the Little Alter Boy after it. And this is cool because, for say, what we're going to do is just pitch this up. And you can see we can start to get cool vibes. And again, we can put something else after it, like, let's say, the vocal synth from Isotope. Let's put this up. Or maybe go with a preset. So you can do some cool things, as you can see with that, and it will create this cool vibe. But what I like about the sampler, it's just another way to work, you know. You're so used to doing the vocal chops where you use a sampler in just one, but if you want to go with multiple different shots, this is the way to go about it. Very simple, as you can see. There are limitations with it though, however, like you can't go to each one individually and change the pitch of it. But again, you know, it's just another way to work, and it's just a little tip I wanted to show you guys. I've shown you guys how to do vocal chops, so I have various videos about this already, but this is a new way of doing it if you really want to go about it. More of a old school way, and if you really have a good vocal, you'll be able to get some cool stuff out of it.
The fourth tip and trick that you can do with vocals and manipulating them, guys, is gonna be to apply harmonics with the vocals. Now, this is similar to tip number 1 and number 2, but here what we're really going for is just a nice vibe. Like, it sounds like you actually have friends, because if you're singing by yourself, most likely you don't have friends. But then if you duplicate the vocal 2 times and put them in harmonic counterparts, then you can get something that sounds really cool, and it sounds like you have friends because it sounds like there's more people there.
Alright guys, so what we're going to do here is very simple. The first route you can go about in doing this is it's standard. What we're going to use is Little Alter Boy. Now we're going to use Little Alter Boy in parallel mode. That just means you're going to have the dry and wet at 50%. When we have it there, we can lower the pitch to, or increase it to 7.
I think I am falling in love with you.
And that's creating harmonics because we're using the perfect fifth to give it that.
I think I am falling in love with you.
You can also increase drive to distort the new version, aka the high-pitched one, and still have the original one there. Now, when you don't have Little Alter Boy, you have a little bit more control of positioning. So here I can make 3 different versions. One of them will be at plus or plus 7, and then the last one, let's do it at minus 12. So we have this kind of wall of sound. We're covering almost all the frequencies.
I think I am.
The key thing is that you want to give each one its respective spot. So for instance, the high-pitched one, we can put it in stereo.
I think I am falling in love with you.
So I'm going to use this new plugin called Wider from, I believe it's Polyverse.
I think I am falling.
To be there, and then this guy, I'm going to have it as well, but I'm going to have it be more of kind of like the mid-lows, or the mids of the song. That way it doesn't take up so much.
I think I am falling in love.
There we go.
I think.
And then this guy will still remain there in the same.
I think I am falling in love with you.
And now
I think I am falling in love with you.
Now the cool thing here is that, again, you can get more creative. Like, you can wash out certain sounds, like certain parts of it.
I think I am falling in love with you.
Let's do the mean low size, and we'll go like that.
I think I am falling in love with you.
And you get really nice tones out of it. And again, Little Alter Boy way is cool, but this way is you have a little bit more freedom to do stuff. Like, you can distort certain ones, you know, that you feel might sound.
I think I am falling in love with you.
And it's all about having fun and just saying, okay, I want more friends, yo. And I want unique, different friends that don't all sound the same. But you get the idea there with this tip, guys. Using harmonics, using notes that are pleasing with each other to cover different parts of the frequency so the vocal sounds bigger. And again, you can mess with the volume so it's not so in your face, but it's more like in the background, and it adds more depth to your song in the breakdown.
And finally, guys, the last tip of them all is going to be to manipulate vocals to create pads, leads, bass lines. So in this area, I'm just going to show you guys how you can get a vocal and create a vocal pad, because that's a question I get asked a lot, and I'm sure you guys know already how to create leads since there's so many tutorials about it on my channel and on YouTube already. So we're going to switch it up a bit and do a vocal pad. I'm going to show you guys ways that you can make it sound cool, and let's get straight into this one.
Alright guys, now for this one, what we're going to be doing is using a sampler and a new vocal. Usually this works a lot better with vocals that are just going to be all the way through. So I'm going to grab this vocal here, start it there, and just grab that, and we're going to drop that in the sampler. Now we need to go into reverse it. So we can do that. That's what we want. If we grab a normal vocal where it's like, ah, yeah, then it will sound really weird because the difference in speed is going to affect it really good. So we need to have a vocal that is going to be sustainable, okay? From here, we can apply a bit of FM change to it, increasing volume and giving it attack. This is telling us how long it takes for this FM to kick in. Now we can switch the wave like a... Okay, and from there, I'm going to apply a bit of a reverb as well to this so that it masks it a little better and it sounds more like a real legit pad. So this, I'm increasing the chorus here just so that it doesn't sound so, yeah. From here, you can do a lot. Like you can use the auto filter inside of Ableton so that we can automate, like with an LFO, the filter a bit. Beats mode so that we have like maybe 116 or 1/8. 116 will be more ideal though. You can take it off if you don't want it. So this is a very powerful way to make leads, bass lines, pads of these vocals, because it's something that people won't be able to replicate unless they have a similar vocal to yours. And it can also fit a lot better because it's coming from the vocal, something that's in your track already that we've heard. So this is a cool way to get those kind of vocalish kind of pads. From here, you know, the sky's the limit, man. Put a chorus, put a flanger, flange that out. You know, do whatever you have to do. Okay, so have fun with this one, guys. Very simple. If you want to watch more of the hard vocal leads that you can make with this, check my channel out for how to make vocal leads, or check other channels out on YouTube that have them. Very easy to do. It just requires a good vocal and just proper programming of it. But this is another way that you can manipulate a vocal trick to get even more stuff added into your song, create atmosphere for your drop. This is one way to do it. Have fun with it.
Alright guys, there's one last final tip I want to give you guys to manipulate vocals, and that is going to be the telephone effect, or the future bass distorted vocal effect, for those of you guys that are making love music out there, because God knows we have too many songs about love, but I know a lot of you guys want to go for this vibe, so I'm going to teach you guys how to do it, as well as how to do the original over the telephone sound, as if the guy's just going, Charlie, don't leave me.
Alright guys, so this is the last one, and here I have this little mo. So we're gonna give it the proper treatment effect that she's trying to hit up her lover through the telephone. Her parents ain't home. So pretty much we're gonna add an EQ here. And we're just gonna fine tune like this. Now, if you want to add an extra effect, you can boost. Some unpleasant frequencies. And I'll tell you why you would want to do that. Now from there, we're just gonna apply a reverb. And then we can apply an overdrive or sort of distortion. Now the cool thing about this is that you can automate this guy to move from the left to the right to create this sort of kind of sweep to it. And let's give it more of a quadrant there. Hopefully we're doing the right one. Oh, we're doing the reverb. That's not what we want. So we're gonna grab that frequency guy right here, and we're gonna slide it across, increase the pitch. And you can do a lot of cool stuff. You can put the overdrive before the reverb. And then... to create those kind of effects, here you can control the stereo-ness as well. And we can leave another EQ boost here maybe. And maybe from there you can add a ping pong, but that's how you create these nice... Let's put it up louder. You can get rid of these lows as well if you... Or maybe just get like the mid lows and that. But the key thing is you don't want all the frequency. Sounds like a dinosaur now. But you get the idea there. You're pretty much what you're doing is you're getting rid of some of the low frequency, some of the highs, creating a distorted vibe, kind of like low quality. But then you're running it through reverb or a ping pong for more of a beep beep effect. As you can see there. Okay, so you just have to be very careful with it, but that's one of the things we can do to get some cool vibes, and that's going to be the last vocal trick I teach you guys. All the tricks I showed you today, you can mix and mash them together to just come up with a different kind of vibes, and it's up to you to decide as a producer. This trip and this trick together will sound cooler, and you know, when it comes to that, that's the creativeness that you're going to have to create your track, to create these vocal manipulations in your track. I said track a lot, but you guys take care. That's going to be the last tip I have for you guys.
And that's going to be the end of the tutorial, guys. By the end of this tutorial, you will piss off the vocalist and she won't want to work with you anymore. But at the end of the day, you can say you're a better producer because now you know how to manipulate vocals in all kinds of ways that everyone is doing in pro music or released music. We can all call it pro. But anyways, guys, if you guys have suggestions on tutorials, make sure to leave it down in the comments. Tomorrow I'm making another Dirty Bird style video that you guys must watch. And if you want to support the channel, that pack is coming out, or you can go to evilsounds.com to check out all the other sound selections that we have for you, or I have for you. And that is gonna be it, guys. You guys take care and you guys have an amazing day. Go fuck up some vocals and let me know how it goes. Yeah, peace out.